Welcome, welcome. It is Monday, August 4th. Uh, First of all, happy Monday. Second of all, happy August, right? Time flies when you're having fun, right? Let's start with USDTD, and then we'll go through the rest of the dominance charts, and then we'll switch over to the big caps and everything else, right? Without further ado, effectively what I would want to see for this week is a consolidation on the daily here. A lot of people were looking at this past couple days, the pump that just happened, as kind of like the bottom. But we didn't actually push. We didn't do a full retrace of the 448 zone. We never even tapped it, to be honest. So USDTD here, cautiously optimistic, cautiously. For most coins, they have fulfilled, not most coins. For a few coins, they have fulfilled their long bias, meaning if you bought, during the dip last week, right, they are in good long bias. I will get to those in a second. But really the key here is not all of them have tapped their long bias zone. I mean, ETH included, which I'm sure you guys are tracking ETH right now. But also, as you guys know, we do have a few phases in crypto, and we're kind of leaving phase two, which is the Ethereum cycle, right? We're going into the large to mid cap cycle. And then following that will be the small cap cycle and memes before it's rotated back to fiat again. So really what I would expect for this week on this weekly candle is we basically just create a range. This is a very weird range. We are flipping this order block. We didn't actually completely invalidate this here. We didn't even tap the 4-6. So I'd actually expect a whole lot of nothing to happen this week. If we consolidate and continue to consolidate, even if we consolidate bullish, that's fine. I would want to see another retrace. I want to see this daily tapped in between 4-6 and 4-8. If we can get that on the daily, this is going to be a very high probability long zone, right? And that would probably be sometime mid-August, right? We'd see some sort of pretty big pullback again in mid-August, and that'll be the high probability long zone. But our high time frame draw is still going to be under 4%. And this drop that's incoming on USDTD on the weekly, pretty significant because this has an open weekly and an open monthly. So this push will be very, very, very significant when we get there. But we are a little bit choppy right now, right? So how I'm playing this is basically you look for coins with tight structures that have fulfilled their long bias. You long them with either a wide stop or risk, light risk allocation, and then you short hedge on the weekly for things that have a wider range on the high side. So I'll get to that in a second, but I'll jump into some of the other ones too. So BTCD, same thing here, right? This weekly is kind of already pulling up on this level that I had marked on yellow. However, we have not fulfilled the bearish zone yet as well. So this is the same thing. This is a local bottom, yes, but this is not the high time frame bottom. I want to see much more blood before I can be comfortable with saying it's the bottom. But the good news is we did just barely tap into this inversion gap. So this weekly, technically it is still bearish here. But again, it's just a little bit too iffy to say for sure. But on the monthly, same thing, right? This monthly, incredibly bearish. So it really depends on whether or not we basically do a whole lot of nothing, right? If we do a whole lot of nothing, if we push up first, great, right? Or rather, if we push down first, great. If we pull back first, then also great. Because, I mean, for the most part, there's at least myself, I'm speaking for myself here. I'm playing coins with structures that actually have tight ranges where we can risk appropriately. So let's dig into some of them here. Obviously, I'm not on Bitcoin, but I would just jump into that as well. Bitcoin is a little weird because the high time frame and the quarterly and the monthly are actually quite bearish, incredibly bearish. If this does not close over, like if we reject 110 and we bounce on it, or rather, if we go through 110 in the next few months and then reject it, then I would say the all-time high is in for that for now, and we basically be targeting 30K over the next 2 years, right? So this is a quarterly and a monthly. We're basically topping on a Bitcoin. It's just a matter of time. It's very, very close to topping out. I did have a short. I closed it a little too early because I was getting a little impatient, which is kind of funny because I'm usually patient with things, but I'm never patient with Bitcoin. But if anything here, right, I want to see this play out. I want to see a seek and destroy. Basically, we tap 110. It has a reaction. The reaction will lead us into bearish OTE levels to sweep, possibly 120. This extension on 120 could be something that happens later in August, right? But again, I'm looking to short it. I'm looking to short Bitcoin. I'm looking to short a few others when we do that push. But because that would confirm that we swept all liquidity from this range high, and we then close on the weekly under 118, and at that point 110 would already be invalidated. So got to think ahead here, because really, if we know Bitcoin is going to be topping out, how can we get ourselves in a short without getting wicked out and with risk sizing appropriately? What I'm going to probably do is I'm going to wait for this level to be hit. I want 118 to be tapped again. If we can get 118, then I would start layering into short, right? Layering in short and then riding it all the way back down to effectively 80 to 60,000 over the course of the next year or so, right? Because we'd have a consolidation here. It won't go straight down, but it would go somewhere like here, right? We go down to like 60, 70, reconsolidate, and then probably bounce again, do something like this, and then go back down again, right? So that's Bitcoin. Still, I'm not trading it here. This is a little weird spot to trade it, so I'll just wait until this range expands a little bit more. Ethereum as well, also very iffy. However, what I do like is that Ethereum is actually pushing its bearish range. So I would actually expect this weekly to close. If this weekly can close under yellow, which is the 3,700. If we can close under 3,700, we'd actually do a retrace that's bullish, right? Meaning what'll end up happening is over the course of the next week or two, we'd see this large retrace, and then this retrace would end up putting us into a bullish weekly inversion that would actually spring us basically all the way up to a new all-time high, right? So Ethereum is really good, but again, I would not take it from this range quite yet. We didn't confirm this on the weekly. We'd have to actually close above 3,700 if this week, right? This week it needs to close above yellow if we want to see a bullish continuation. Otherwise, I'm still leaning bearish on the daily and underneath. So either short hedge or wait, right? And yes, I'll get to Solana actually, since you guys are bringing that up as a question. Solana I've had this up for a while as well. Solana, as I said, we're rotating into phase 3, which is going to be large caps. And Solana actually tapped its long bias on the range. And when we do a pullback, its pullback is not going to be as wide, right? It's not going to be as wide as some of the other ones like Ethereum is. So I would almost say if you're looking to take a trade on Solana, wait until like early next week. You'd probably want to see some pullback here, possibly under 150, right? We want to see basically this level here. I'll put it in yellow, right? 155. We want to see 155 swept. If we could see 155 swept and then closures above it on the daily, then Solana would actually be very clean to take to at least 220, if not slightly higher to 250. One thing to note on Solana, it is actually building out its third wave. If you do Elliott wave, or sorry, it's fifth wave right now. If you do Elliott wave counting, this pullback is going to be the fourth, which is usually a pretty deep retracement, followed by the fifth. Now our fifth wave will reset us on the quarterly to above probably 230, and I'm planning, and I'll call this out as well, I'm planning a short on Solana to bring it back down from 240 on the daily back down all the way to 50, because this is going to be a quarterly tap that once we tap this, we've already cleared this range, right? So if we tap it one more time and then close anywhere under 250, if we cannot make daily closures over 250, then Solana's all-time high will be confirmed, right? So at that point, I will be shorting down to about 50 to 60, maybe even 30. And again, it's the same thing with Solana BTC. If we're looking at the Solana BTC chart as well, we are in the long bias zone here. However, this weekly, again, needs one more sweep, right? So something like this I would expect to happen, where we do sweep sometime next year as the final deviation on this weekly chart before Solana then overcomes Bitcoin on the high time frame with its liquidity and market cap. But we are not quite there yet, right? We just want to plan ahead for when that happens. So what high range or cycle top is for Solana? So as I said, right, Solana's high range and cycle top will be around 220 to 260. So if you're in spot, if you're in long or whatever by then, I would highly recommend trimming by 220 to 250. This is going to be the sell zone. We're going to get some rejection here. It's basically confirmed. We're going to get some rejection here. Now, whether or not we can confirm and flip 200 after or not doesn't matter to me. I would just say, because I'm layering in short anyway, or I plan to layer in short when that happens, I'm going to be in profits at that point anyway, so it really doesn't matter. But I do intend to try and take it down all the way to the higher time frame open IRLs at below a 100. So hopefully that answers your question as well. And yes, HHH, I will answer that question as well. So same thing with SUI. What's interesting with SUI is that it is actually neutral. It's becoming a neutral triangle here. And it does have this weekly open. I would basically say we have confirmed and we have been rejecting 2 times already on the weekly bias zone for the bearish bias, and now we closed under again. Even though we did close under before, we basically pushed it again, all we did from before was, I think, clear out some of the liquidity from this high, and we made another daily SMR right here. So this is actually pretty valid of a short as well. I would be looking to short it. So SUI to $10. I'll be honest, only if, so here's what's going to happen, right? One of two things. We push up, we reject. Now, when we reject to $3, this is going to be the point by which we see a higher low made, right? This higher low on the daily, if we can consolidate and break $3 and then close back above 330 on the daily, then it would be good to see all-time highs again. However, if we are unable to break above $3.20 after we do the sweep and consolidate, it would actually be flipping that entire range to the lows. So there's really 2 possibilities here on the high time frame that I'm seeing. One of these two, basically yellow or teal, right? So, and the key here is that we need a higher low. We need a higher low on the daily and the weekly. This does not have a higher low yet. This is not a higher low because this is not an actual SMR and this is not in the daily bias zone, right? If you notice here, it would need to at least break $3.15. $3.15. So bearish here up until we sweep $3.15. Then you could long or you could spot with the expectation that you then get a consolidation above $3.20 to flip it. Otherwise, I would just say it's going to be sweeping the $1.40 mark. Cool. So I will go through. I know you guys are already slamming me with questions already. So I will get through some of your coins as well in order of request here. So let's do ADA. That is another one you guys are watching. Now, ADA is really cool. I do like this range a lot. If you look on the daily here, this is actually a triple tap. And how amazing. This is not random, guys. Look at that. We took this low, and we have each one of these levels is a sweep of the previous one, right? If I line that up, you notice how each wick is a sweep of the previous one. This is incredibly bullish. Incredibly bullish. Now, and it kept the 079. This is a bullish buy zone. Basically, it kept this level, and it swept every high time frame liquidity on this level. Now, whether or not we flip 705 and 62 is the next question. We do have a market structure break on the daily. This is also incredibly bullish. So I would say in terms of its structure on the weekly and the daily, this one is really good to watch because when we do sweep, and I do expect us to sweep sometime in the next couple weeks, right? This is the same thing here, right? This weekly, I would want to see us push up. Basically not close above orange, right? We basically have an orange balance here on the weekly. We push up to 7.8, but the weekly then closes underneath, sweeps the low, 5.7, right? 5. We want to see 60 cents swept. We want to see a higher low formed, right? Higher low, and then a closure back in range on the weekly. This sweep is going to be aggressive, guys, but I will tell you, if this makes a higher low, ADA is absolutely gone, right? Because the next IRL to take would be up to $2 here, right? Up to $2. So this is on the weekly, right? We have about a couple more weeks left. ADA's range is a little wide, so I would not long quite yet. I would wait until we break 67 cents. Set your alerts for under 65 cents and then start layering in under 65 cents for a sweep to push back up to above above 150 to $2 roughly. And now keep that on the chart as well. ADA is super bullish from here. We just need a little bit more consolidation. Awesome. So let's go through the rest of your requests, guys. Now, if we're looking at Casper, this is one of the ones that I hold incredibly dear to my heart because its range is one of those that is incredibly tight. Incredibly tight. Now we have one open weekly on, actually no, we already flipped everything, right? So even though we're underneath here, this monthly has already closed above orange. So we previously confirmed this range on the monthly, and all we need now is to break above this order block on a 0.111, right? I'm giving you guys the absolute bottom here, absolute bottom. Because if we do the exact same weekly retracements that I'm showing you guys on ADA and a few other coins, you're going to see a pullback that's probably not as big, right? Not as corrective based on the weekly range and where the SMR is already confirmed. The correction that we're going to see is basically going to be like an 8% correction roughly to sweep this low. I already put a limit in. I want to actually accumulate more here. I have not. I'm a little red. I fully intend to hold it. This is a high conviction play. There's no reason to sell or close this position when I know it's going to flip green, and its range is tight enough because we already have a higher low from the previous range. We already flipped the weekly. We already flipped the daily. So literally all we need is just a little bit more consolidation here. I want to see some sort of push up. If we push up a little bit, then a sweep down. When we do sweep down, I would expect this range, this level to be hit. We might go a little bit lower. I'm not too worried. We might go down here. Also not too worried. Even if we go down just a little bit more, even though this is a higher low, if we just sweep it one more time, this would actually still be bullish because we have, we already have structure here. Like effectively all we're doing is we're flipping this weekly range right now. So this is, you can hold this on spot. I'm holding this on low leverage, but I'm going to just keep adding because this is one of those that as soon as we start to reconsolidate above 1, 1, 0, 1, 1, effectively this is going to go parabolic because the next range we're going to see is all the way up at 4.7. And by then the all-time low would be confirmed, right? So it's going to be a hold. I'm going to swing this on futures and I am swinging this on spot as well. And then, just keeping it steady, slow and steady from there. Cool. Let's see what else you guys are requesting here. Go through the chat. 1 second. Okay, yes. So the next thing I would want to take a look at is, oops, I'm sorry. My screen is a little weird. I just glitched my screen. Sorry about that. So XCH and move. Yes. So XCH also incredibly bullish. It's another one of those coins that has, basically really, really tight ranges. Sorry, my dog is barking like crazy. It's one of those coins that has really, really tight ranges. And this SMR, we already have 3 taps on the weekly. Now, what's fun about this is as soon as we start to close above 9.6 on the daily, this is not even going to retrace. This could be really the all-time low right here. Sorry, this could be the local low from the all-time low of this SMR, right? So, and what's funny about this one, and I'll say it's maybe funny but also awesome, is as soon as we break $10 and $11 on the weekly, this order block right here, the one that rejected us, I'm going to zoom in so you guys can see it, right? And I know I have a lot of yellow, so I'll just mark this up here. Right at 11.6, right? This one right here. As soon as we break that and make a weekly closure above, we are never going to see under $10 in our lifetime, in your lifetime, in your entire lifetime, period, end of sentence. You will never see under $10 on XCH in your life because we are flipping weekly and monthly relative equal lows. We have an SMR on the weekly as well, and this SMR will then be confirmed, right? So everything after this would effectively be a reconsolidation. So even if we get a pullback, we're still never going to go under $10, right? So that would be the weekly as well. XCH, another one I'm swinging. This is actually basically at, and let me check. I think it's basically at, I'm in profits now. I didn't realize that, but I'm in profits now. Honestly, I'm just going to keep holding. There's no reason to sell this, right? If we already confirmed this range, we just need to make one more closure up here. I mean, again, even if we sweep this weekly, think about it this way, right? ADA has that huge range. XCH, look at that weekly, right? Look at this weekly. Even if we sweep this weekly, we're literally only talking about maybe a 5 to 10% move, whereas ADA has like a 20 to 30% move on a drop, on a potential drop, right? So even if you're worried about a little downside, don't, because this is pretty much almost there, right? And all we need to do is break and flip this, and we're done. So I'm gonna just keep on holding on, right? No reason to sell. And then move. So move, I got a little I'll be honest, guys, I got a little trigger happy with this one. But I'll say, really same thing, right? Same thing. If we do sweep this low, I would expect this low to be held on the daily. We have an SMR in the daily as well. We have 3 taps. We are basically invalidating this daily right now. The closest one would be back up at 16 cents. If we can push up there and flip this range sooner, that would be perfectly amazing. I am expecting that one of the two things, you got to prepare for both, right? We're flipping this daily already. So I'm actually in bullish. I'm actually pretty red right now, but I don't want to close because again, this is the same thing. We're invalidating this bearish gap. So even if we do this, even if we reject on it the next week, the worst we could possibly do is like 11. So this is the absolute lowest that we would get this from this range. And at that point, I'm going to hold because this SMA already confirmed. We have a displacement all the way up here. We already confirmed this market structure break, right? So this is bullish. We have 3 drives up already. So this is already this is a higher high, right, from this market structure break, and we have this SMR. All we need now is just to flip this daily, right? We flip that daily and we're done. We're pretty much set. We'd be good to just basically keep adding into it on the daily, and then target the break of this weekly and daily range, basically back up to like 70 cents. So same thing here, right? But roughly it would be like roughly this, something like that over the course of the next probably next few months. So hopefully that's helpful. Let's look at Blowfin killed both. Oh yeah, Hardy. Yeah. So I mean, again, I've used MEXC for probably 8 years now. 8 coming on roughly 8 years, and I've never had a single problem with them. So really, based on experience, I guess, you go based on what you feel comfortable with, and then go from there. So MEXC has never done wrong by me, and I've used them for 8 years, on multiple accounts, on sub accounts, on demo accounts. I've done multiple withdrawals of 4 figures and greater over the course of those 8 years. Never once have I had an issue. But yeah, again, I like to also say, like, I'll put the tinfoil hat on and I'll say, XCH and Casper, that whole delisting thing, on one hand, you could think about it like, the exchanges are doing it based on, volatility or volume or risk of the asset. But on the other hand, if you flip that the other way, you say, what if they are preventing you from taking a position on something that's going to move incredibly well, right? Incredibly well over the next few months and years, right? So you gotta think from both biases. Don't go in on one bias. This is also how I chart too, guys. When you chart, you look at the asset. You don't go in with a bias. You don't say I'm bullish on Bitcoin or I'm bearish on Bitcoin. You go into the chart. You clear your chart of everything, and only after you write up the structure and you write up your pathing, your expected trajectory of price, then you can say I'm bullish or I'm bearish, right? Don't make the bias until you have the structure. And I kind of apply that with everything, right? And again, like with Casper and XCH, those are ones that I've been tracking. If you guys have been following me for a while, for a long time, because they're monthly charts that I've been watching. Once we break the monthly cycle on them, then they will pay incredibly well, if not better than most coins. And I'll go as far as to say they're probably going to be paying better than Ethereum will, right? Even from this move, right? Look about it this way, right? Even if Ethereum goes to its range high, its standard deviation range high, if we take this range from here to here, that's a 220% move, right? Let's say we do this, okay? Now, let's say I measure the exact same range, but let's measure it on XCH, right? Exact same range. This is a standard deviation between the daily, right? Look at this. And this is actually the standard deviation between the daily. Even if I didn't count the internal range here, look at this move. This is a 1,000% move. 1,000%, right? 1,000 greater than 200. So XCH to me is going to move much better than Ethereum is. So I'd rather put my money in a higher ROI token like that, right? On the daily, when it'll move much better than Ethereum will, right? So that's kind of my thesis on these as well. Some people consider altcoins very volatile and very hard, but really, in order to really grasp altcoins in their entirety, you have to look at the structure and the fractals across every single time frame, right? You got to put in the work, guys. The money is not going to come to you. You got to look at the chart every single time frame, drill down all the way down to the 10-minute, all the way up to the 3-month, all the way up to the monthly. Look at every single time frame. Only then will you know which ones are better and which ones are worse, right? And where there's going to be pitfalls. So hopefully that helps. Just also go in without the bias no matter what happens. Yeah, they're not trying to take huge losses. Exactly, Stephen. You're very good point, right? They don't want to pay you money. They know, the structure of these coins, they're there. The structure is here, right? All we need to do is flip this 11 on the weekly, and then the all-time low is confirmed. After that, let's say, guys, you just do like full port on 20x, right? The exchange doesn't want to pay you that money, so they're going to prevent you from doing that. They don't have the liquidity to sustain a huge user base full porting at 20x on this coin when they know the structure is going to break to the highs, right? So they don't want to pay you. So I'll rant over. I'll get on to the rest of your request here. Ordy, it's a good request as well. I have not charted this for a long time, so I'm going to completely clean out my chart as well. Let's see. Yeah, when you make 1 million times on your account, exactly. Yep. So one thing with Ordy too is I'm going to do top down here. This is a very bearish structure. I'll admit, guys, very bearish on the quarterly, bullish on the monthly, bullish on the weekly, bearish on the quarterly. We'd have to clear this as well. This weekly, let's see, is this weekly confirmed? Actually, yes, it is. So this is actually not too bad. This is not too bad with the closure back in range. Let's see, is this the flip? Weekly, yeah, we do have a weekly flip. All right, so we are closing back above. So the daily here, oh, this is not too bad on the daily. We got a relative equal right there, and then an open daily up here. So same thing here. We have a daily inversion right there, smack dab at 7, and then those relative equals. Basically all those relative equals. That's not too bad. We have a higher low already, actually. So the structure is here. We do have a daily flat right there. 6. No, that's not flat. I'm sorry. Oops. I'm just pressing buttons by accident. Yes. Great. Oh no, that's not even it. Ordy USDT. There we go. Cool. So same thing here. It's actually a pretty clean structure to possibly see a second high. This is going to be, I'm thinking this is going to be an ABC because we just reset this, right? We just had 3 taps high. So it's going to be an ABC into a price reset at 7.7. So I'll put this in as well. And for those of you guys who do Elliott wave, you'll probably see it too. But basically, we want to see this is going to be a bearish. If this pushes back into range here, I'm going to say this is going to be a bearish, basically a bearish retest of the previous range highs, and then we'd want to see a rejection between 10.4 and 11.75 for a potential sweep back down to 7.7, and that would actually be the SMR for this range before we then go on the daily. So price would then reset to a 1, 2, 3. This would be the 1, 2, and then possibly 3, and then a reset. And I'll put that there for now. But this reset would probably bring us a little higher. But roughly that, right, on the 8-hour. I want to see some sort of sweep. We're pushing up now. We are close to, if you're not long already, don't worry about it. I would just wait for the short. This is going to be a very high probability short when we do get to above 10.4. And then once we sweep the 8.5 again, then I would expect this to be the third tap here. after 7.7. 7.7 would be the level to then take a long from back to 18. So that's already, this is actually not too bad of a structure on the lower time frames to take a short against. So I'm gonna just look. I'm actually gonna do an alert on this. I might steal this idea. So thank you for requesting it. This is actually not too bad. I'll just put this in as alert. Excellent. At 10.4 is what you want to watch for. Cool. And then the sweep after that. Beautiful. And that'll probably be, sometime by the end of the week. End of the week would be the most ideal. So keep that on watch. Oh, bullish on Cardano. Yes, that's true. Cool. Any other requests before we continue on? Oh, DGen. Oh, that's a great question too, Stephen. I'll answer that as well. Matt H, I know I don't know if you're trolling me or you're serious, but I'll do it anyway. DGen has been requested on my stream every single time, and it's hilarious because literally I say the exact same thing every single time. Bullish here, right? It hit all my long bias levels. All we need to do is flip yellow. Which is actually, we're very close to flipping it, but oh wow, yeah, we don't even need to retrace here, guys. We don't need to. We could, but we don't need to. So if you want to take it, you could probably take it from here. But I would keep your stop kind of wide-ish, probably like 00286, because we could still sweep right below 3.1, or even 3.3. So I would still keep it. There's a little bit more range here left. A little bit more range. Something's going to happen here. We could just consolidate a little bit. But really, this is not going to move until we get a daily and a weekly closure above yellow. However, DGen's range is incredibly bullish because as soon as we flip here, the closest IRL is actually all the way up at like 0.12. Right, so I would expect yellow to play out over the course of the next 2 to 3 months, and we'd see possibly a very, very, very substantial exit pump on DGen, and yeah, honestly, you could even take it all the way up to like 2 cents before it becomes bearish, right? It's going to be one of those monthly, weekly green candles that just like slam up really high, really fast. And a lot of coins will have this, right? And it's coming. It's soon. It's not here yet, but a lot of coins will have that. DGen is one of them. But I will answer your question, Stephen. Stephen, this is a great question. What's the maximum amount of trades you'd recommend at once? Now, when talking about quantity of trades, it really doesn't matter. That's what's interesting about this. It's actually about the risk, right? What is the risk? You could have 10 coins with $5. I don't know your size of portfolio, but like let's say you have a $10,000 portfolio or something, and you have 10 coins running with a $5 long in each one, right? That's not too much risk. You could have 10 positions open and still have a tiny bit in all of them and still not be carrying a whole lot of risk, right? Because that's a tiny fraction of your account. So I would rephrase your question and I'll answer it a little differently. You could have as many trades as you can manage at once, right? So that's the first answer. If you can manage 10 trades, go for it. If you can't, don't, right? If you can manage 1,000 trades, go for it. But if you can't, don't, right? Whatever you can manage. Now, I'll rephrase this as well. You could be a person that has 1,000 trades open, each with $5 each, and have the exact same number, quantity, cost, risk as the same person with the same account size, like another person with $10,000 in their account, with 1 or 2 trades, right? 1 or 2 trades with $100 in each, right? You're basically carrying the exact same risk, but you now have 1,000 or 100 positions to manage. The other person only has 2 positions to manage, right? So you could be heavier allocated in a larger amount of, or there's a less amount of positions, or you could be wide allocated in many positions. Really depends on your risk profile, depends on what coins you're tracking, depends on how you're actually playing them. So for me, I try and range between the two. Like, if you've been following me, I am in a heavy, heavy short on hype right now. But I'm in a very, very light short on Pengu, right? I'm in a heavy short on Casper and XCH. Or sorry, I'm heavy long on Casper and XCH. But I'm also in a light long in Mavia, right? So it really depends on the structure. It depends on whether or not you can manage it, and it depends on your risk profile and the levels by which you're entering and the actual allocation you're putting in margin at those levels, right? So exactly, right? You PTSD versus the other guy is chills, right? So if you think you can manage 1,000 trades all for $5, that's a lot of work. I'll be honest, guys. Personally, I wouldn't. At the most I would ever do, and this is when I'm crazy, I would do like maybe 10 or 15 at the absolute most number of positions, right? And right now, I think I have 7, which is high for me still. But each one has a different risk allocation associated with it, and each one is risk based on the structure and market dynamics that I expect to happen and pan out based on their ranges, and that's it, right? So you could just be a person that trades, 1 or 2 coins and still make just as much money, or if not more, than a person who trades 100, right? If anything, I'd almost say focus is better, right? With anything, if you're riding a bicycle, you're not riding, 10 bicycles, you're riding 1 bicycle. And I'll quote Michael Saylor when he says, how many chairs are you sitting on right now, right? How many chairs, right? You're sitting on 1 chair. You're not sitting on 2 chairs. So really, the point being is focus is helpful. Focus is good. So don't feel the need to take 1,000,000 trades. Don't feel the need to take 100 trades, because all you need is just focus on the ones that matter, and stay with them, stay committed, and you will come out with a win, right? You play the market structure, you play the dynamics of the market, you focus on those. That's it. That's really it. Hopefully that answers your question. I know that's a very long-winded way of answering, but trying to build to that fast to get slower long-term ROI. Yeah. So you know what? Trying to build fast, quick is never an option. Time, everything requires time. Sometimes things will take longer, right? Sometimes you'll pick a coin that doesn't go anywhere. Like me, I'm still stuck in A0. Jokingly, I'll pull that up too. I'm for those of you who aren't aware, this is one of those coins that structurally, and it had structure and fundamentals, but I missed one structure right here. I entered in all the way up here, guys, back in May. I entered, right? And I am sitting at a floating P&L of about negative 60% of my portfolio right now. I'll let that sink in. I'm at negative 60% of my portfolio. I did not close this trade. I'm a position and swing trader. I will only close trades if I feel they are invalidated. This, even though we had a huge amount of FUD that happened with the CEO leaving and yada yada, and this structure basically broke through these relative equal lows on the daily. Even though all that happened, the fundamentals and the structure of A0 remain the same. There is always, market makers will always move price to inefficiencies. And I've been watching the high time frame on this one. I've actually traded A0 way back like 2 years ago when it first moved up to $1. I'll pull up the spot chart so I can bring this up. So this is not my first rodeo with A0 because I traded all the way back here. I don't have it on my chart anymore, but I traded all the way back here a few years ago. Basically like this move from like 2023 from like 80 cents to $1. And the fundamentals stay the same, even though I was a little naturally bullish with it at first. This is more of a conviction play where I honestly think that the structure will return, and it will. It's just dormant, right? It's dormant now. Price will never leave inefficiencies behind. First of all, we never tap this daily right here. Second, If we close above 0.7 cents, then it's going to flip this entire range again. And this consolidation right now, we're seeing weeks, and I've been holding this for weeks and months now, with a floating P&L of negative 60%. I have not closed it. I'm going to just keep staying patient, because what I would expect to happen is on the over the next few months, slash weeks, eventually what will happen is we will see a pop, because we will then close above the 3.1, and it will just go like this, straight up, slice through most of my TPs, and then possibly retest 0.07. This is going to happen eventually. I don't know when, but the point being is, considering I'm a position trader, I have no reason to close it here when I know it will return, right? Purely from structure alone. This is a bullish consolidation, guys. This intensely tight. This is weeks and weeks of bullish consolidation. All we need now is a daily flip of 0.026. Yeah, literally all of Dot's TPs on other trades are DCing into zero. Yes, I literally just DCA'd on this a couple times, I'll be honest, because I just was like, okay, this is one of those that I just want to see through. I want to see through to the end. I don't want to take the loss, and I'll take it as TP, so I'm not taking one step behind on my port, even though I have floating P&L of kind of a few thousand right now. But again, I would expect this to happen over the next few weeks. I'll take my TPs and I'll be on my way. The big thing here is the weekly did not have, or no, sorry, it's the monthly. Yep, the monthly did not have a tap at, actually it did, actually, no, it did. Let me just verify this, because this is, didn't actually tap there. Why did I have that? This must be an older chart. Yeah, so this is an older chart. Well, either way, I would see it at least going to 20, 10 to 20 cents over the course of this year. So I will just take my TPs then and move on my way and continue on. But thankfully, I'm not too worried. I'm not going to miss any other altcoin runs, because I still have margin that's available, and I have been deploying that on things like Mavia, things like Casper, things like XCH, things like Pengu and Hype, shorting those. But guys, remember, patience pays, right? Patience pays. So no matter what, if you're impatient, you're going to be taking a lot of losses. That's another reason. I'll tell you this much. One of the biggest, and apologies if I'm going to rant here, but one of the biggest problems that I see with novice traders is that they follow the momentum. They follow, oh, this coin is pumping 30% today, I'm going to go to trade on this one. But guys, if it's pumping 30% today, that means you should have got in last week, right? You should have had it. You should have had a position so that you were one of those people in it when it pumped 30%, right? It doesn't matter what coin it is. You need to be in that position so that you're in it when it pumps that 30%, not when it's pumping that last 1 or 2% after the 30% pump, right? And a lot of novice traders do that. They jump between coins, be that whatever the biggest momentum is, and that's never going to work. That always, because you might like take a tiny TP and then you might go red and then you might have to close negative, right? Because if you're just constantly chasing those candles. So what I found is how I trade is the exact opposite of that. I'd rather be in a position much earlier than those 30% pumps, because I want to have plenty of time to scale in as heavy as I want, so that when that coin pumps 30%, I'm doubling, I'm tripling, I'm quadrupling my portfolio, which I've done already multiple times over the course of the past 10 years of trading. I've 5x, 3x my portfolio multiple times. And that's what works for me. I'm sure that doesn't work for some people, but in order for that to work for you, you need to have extreme patience. And A0 is testing my patience. I will say that much. One of the few trades that has tested my patience, because it's been quite a bit of time. So cool. Any other questions? Any last things, guys, before I depart? I do need to run in a few minutes here. Excellent. So great. I'll give you guys another couple minutes to post anything if you have questions or, oh, API 3, great. Let's do that one. And if there's any last coin requests, I will do those before I need to run. So API 3, this one on the weekly, absolutely phenomenal. This is insanely good. The structure on this one is absolutely I can't even explain how amazing this one is, because this range has already flipped on the weekly. We have a market structure break on the weekly. We invalidated this weekly gap. Now all we need to do is do a weekly consolidation, right? So this is one of those that is going to basically be fighting. It's a coin that's fighting over the current poi of like $1, right? 82 cents, $1. This is the poi. But on the weekly, we actually confirmed bullish. So really now is a matter of how can we get in a position that will give us the highest trajectory over the longer time frame, right? And then in my case, I would say really, let's look at this right now. We have tapped every bullish bias here, but actually that we have one untapped here, which is interesting on the daily here. So same thing here. This range could go back down like maybe 7 to 10% this daily, but we are very, 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 very close. We haven't mitigated this order block down here yet, so we are very, very close to seeing an SM. I want to see an SMR build on this. We have two drives down. We need a third. We got a third drive down. So if you want, I don't have these limits on, but I put these levels before. These would be good levels to use. We want to break 65 cents, right? We want to break 65. We break 65, sweep it. Then after that, we're going straight up to at least above $1, possibly $1.20, $1.30, because then we need a market structure break this one. So we market structure break this one, and then the cycle repeats itself on the daily, right? So this daily, after we flip that, if we then make another, right, we have one higher low here already. So this is already confirmed bullish, right? Already confirmed. We need to make another one right here. Here's our another one. We need to make another higher low, a very, very strong wick down. And then last but not least, we would need to make another one after that, right? And that would be the bigger pump, right? This is going to be the second leg. The third leg would bring us on API 3 possibly all the way up to like $3, if not more, on the daily, right? If not more. That's going to be a pretty substantial one. That might not hit until next year. So we do have some time, right, for a retracement. But again, API 3, definitely really, really good to watch. Building out a really good range. Going to look really good. Awesome. Someone asked about XRP. Oh yeah, so I'm going to do XRP. Actually, I only have a couple more minutes left, so let me try and get through. XRP here, I'm going to say slightly bearish, right? Bearish on the high time frame. If we push down, the weird thing is we did already flip this daily right here. So we actually don't even need to go any further. So I'm going to delete this. Really what we could do is if we sweep this low and then reconsolidate, it's just going to go back down again. Otherwise, we flip this high and then reconsolidate and go back down again. I am actually still pretty bearish on XRP because to me, even on this wick down, if you measure the range, it never hit the 6.2 fib. Never. Look at that level. It never hit. And that's the long bias. That's a long bias zone. So to me, XRP, I don't know, guys. I'm just not feeling it. Not feeling it here. I think too many moon boys. Too many moon boys on XRP. So moon girls and moon boys. So I'm going to probably look to short. I actually have an alert here at 318. But yes. Awesome. Yes, that is it for me. Hopefully that was insightful for you guys. And have a great Monday and rest of your week. And yeah, my DMs are always open. Catch you all later.